a general election. We should organise with our brothers and sisters in the trade union to bring an end to this government with a general strike.
Hello everyone, how you all doing today? I'd like you to meet Mark. In fact, mark my words, here he is. He looks a little bit similar to me, a little bit thinner, a little bit taller, and he looks about my age as well, which is a little bit scary that someone of my age is talking absolute shite. But let's watch a little bit and let's see what he says.
Hi folks, welcome to Mark My Words. Now, I think a controversy is probably going to break in the media very shortly over this clip I'm about to show you from Labour MP Laura Smith, Member of Parliament for Crewe and Nantwich. Watch this.
Callous Tory government as soon as we can. And if we can't get a general election, we should organise with our brothers and sisters in the trade union to bring an end to this government with a general strike.
Having a Labour MP say what she just said, believe it or not, doesn't scare me as much as all those twats that decided to clap, cheer, stand up and applaud this piece of crap. That's the part that scares me. But Mark, he likes it a lot.
So there she calls for a general strike to try and get rid of the Conservative government. Now a lot of people will think that is extremist rhetoric, but quite frankly, if you're not going to have a general strike now, when would you have one?
Whatever time you like, Mark. Whatever time you like. I mean, the last strike that I remember, there was rubbish all over the streets. There was rats everywhere. People getting ill. People not being able to go into hospital. But you want what's best for society, do you? But generally, you want a general strike. Does that make any sense, Mark?
We've got NHS staff vacancies of over 100,000. We've got an education service that is basically being run without democratic control. We've got Brexit.
100,000 vacancies in the NHS. I'll be honest with you, I don't know that. But would it bother me? No, it won't. I think the NHS is like the biggest employer in the world, something like that. So am I worried about 100,000 vacancies in the NHS, which could be anything from a porter to a cleaner to a nurse. It could be anyone, absolutely anyone. And he's worried about that. And what's this thing about being undemocratic in the education system? What a pile of crap. Mark, please explain yourself.
Coming up, no deal Brexit quite possibly, that nearly half the country doesn't agree with.
That's right, Market. That's what you call a democracy. You know, when you have a vote and some people don't like it and some people do because that's what they voted for. That's sort of how it works. Are you sure you're around my sort of age? Because you're not really talking any sense here.
We've got 0 hours contracts where people don't know what they're going to get paid from one week to the next.
0 hours are about 2 to 3%. 2 to 3%. And those 0 hours, I wonder how many of those people actually prefer the 0 hours so they can work whenever they want to. It's not always as bad as they say, eh? Remember, 2 to 3%, and there's going to be people in there that are going to definitely want those sort of hours.
I was speaking to some ladies outside the Labour conference on Monday from Unison, care workers. They're going to have their contracts cut from about 30 hours a week to half of that.
Do you know what I do when I lose my job, Mark? I find myself another job. I don't expect the government or anyone else to try and find it for me. It's called being a man or a woman, for crying out loud. What are you talking about?
Absolutely no choice in the matter whatsoever, so they will basically not be able to survive, so they'll have to either take on extra jobs or just quit their job.
I will survive. Oh, as long as I know how to live, I know I stay alive. They're not going to survive. What do you think this is, Mark? Do you think this is like some far out place in Africa or something? They're not going to survive. The amount of benefits that you could get on our system right now, and you think these people are not going to be able to survive? Are you kidding me?
obviously because of central government cuts. We have got nurses and other professionals visiting food banks. We have got homelessness going through the roof. We have got those that have got homes are living in substandard private rented accommodation. We've got rents going through the roof. We've got private debt going through the roof.
I'm curious, Mark, when did everyone's problems become the government's problems? Hence being my problem, taxpayers. Now maybe even yourself, maybe you've got a job and you might have a decent job, you look like you're wearing a suit and so on. But when did everyone's problems become my problem? When did it become the government's problems to worry about people being employed and looking after themselves and everything else? When did this actually happen? Because as far as I'm aware, when you become 18, you become an adult, whether you're a male or female. It's down to you to make sure that you go out there and you get yourself some work, whatever it is. Now, myself, I've worked as a barman, I've worked as a cleaner, I've worked as a sprayer of cars. I've worked everywhere to make sure that I can get some money for my house, my home, my family. It's called being a man, Mark.
If we're not going to have a general strike now, then when?
I've got a date for you, Mark. Definitely got it. 1 minute. Never have a general strike. All you're going to do is make things worse for the people that you're striking for. You're going to make the streets dirty. You're going to have rats everywhere. You're going to have people not be able to go have their surgery and everything else in the NHS. The people that you're complaining about not being able to have the nurses and everything else. How are these people going to get well, Mark? How is society going to carry on, Mark? How are things going to be better, Mark, by going on strike? You're a child, my friend. You're talking like a child.
What happens when Brexit happens and the food shortages and the other shortages and problems with daily services start?
I was waiting for this one. I really was. Because it's amazing. Labour supporter, SJW, definitely doesn't like Brexit. Absolutely. So, Mark, about the food shortages thing, is this about the sandwiches? Because I'm pretty sure we'd be all right on that, mate. Because we've got quite a few farms, got quite a few cows, quite a few sheep, quite a few fields. Actually, yeah, I think we'll be all right, mate. Yeah. I can't see how these shortages will happen. In reference to drugs and everything else, yeah, definitely. These big companies are going to stop selling drugs to a big country like Britain, the 5th largest economy in the world. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it, Mark? Really, really a lot of sense. You're definitely from the ilk of Labour, aren't you? Definitely from the ilk of Jeremy Corbyn.
Not time for a general strike, no. A general strike is democracy in action, ladies and gents.
When you call for a general strike, which is going to be for the detriment of the people that you're striking for, doesn't that cancel it out, Mark? So you're going on strike for these people, but by going on strike, you're actually going to make things harder for the people that you're striking for. Tell me how that makes a right. How does 2 wrongs make a right, Mark? Please explain that to me.
When you vote once every 4 or 5 years, that does not give the party that you elect in a mandate to do whatever it pleases. Democracy does not stop at the ballot box with a general election or indeed with a local election.
Now tell me if I'm wrong, Mark, but I'm getting this strange vibe from you. And the vibe is along the lines of dictatorship. You keep talking about, the general election is not the end all of democracy. And maybe you're a little bit down the line, going to turn around and say the EU referendum isn't either. But I've got this funny feeling that you want to do election after election after election until you get your own way. Whether it be putting Jeremy Corbyn into power or being inside of the EU. It's just a feeling, but please feel free to explain.
This is why we're allowed the right to free speech, and this is why we are allowed the right to protest. As much as the other side likes to make protesters look like they're somehow rowdy and thugs.
That's your side of the aisle, isn't it, Mark? The left side. If you don't think the same way as me, you're a racist, a bigot, a traitor, all the things under the sun, uneducated, everything else. If you don't think like me, the fascistic side of the left. And in reference to having protests and everything else, every time someone goes out and protests the raping of young children or the terrorism, it is people like yourself, tell me if I'm right here, It is people like yourself that will protest the people that are protested about terrorism and the nasty side of Islam. Tell me if I'm wrong.
And we haven't even touched on benefits yet. Why do you think it's taken the government so long to roll out universal credit? Because it doesn't give people enough to live on. Now,
is this the crux of your argument, Mark? That people like myself that go out to work, that pay the taxes so people that are on benefits get what they want. Is this the crux of your argument? Is this what you believe the government's there for, to give people money? Because it's not government money, it's my money. It's the people that go out working to pay the taxes. It's our money. Now, the people that are unable to work, I have no issues whatsoever with money going from my pocket into their pocket so they can have a decent life. No issues whatsoever. But the people that sit on their arse and do nothing, which I believe is the majority of them, they're the ones I have an issue with. But you're the one that's actually sticking up for those kind of people. If you were sticking up for their handicaps and the people that really couldn't work, I would be backing you 100%. But the fact is, I don't believe you are. I believe you've just got an agenda. You've just got a way of actually trying to get money out of the government, and you think that you're entitled to it. That's the difference, Mark.
This system is just about sustainable while there are jobs available and the economy is growing and jobs, no matter how poor they are being created. What do you think happens if there is a sudden downturn in the economy? Let's use Brexit as an excuse. I'm not making...
I'll tell you what, Mark, let's use Jeremy Corbyn as an excuse. He's going to overtax the people, that's myself and millions of others. He's going to overtax companies, which means they'll hire less people. So if they hire less people, there'll be more people on the dole. More people on the dole means less money going through the tills. Less money go through the tills. Oh, 1 minute, that's going to hurt our economy, isn't it? That is the way our economy works, right? That's what you want, Mark. Please, this is just child's play.
Any predictions? But what happens if after Brexit you do find a couple of 100,000 people extra, or even more, let's say 500,000, are thrown on the dole queue in a matter of months or even weeks? They then find themselves facing benefit claims that don't cover their basic costs. If I was on benefits, I would be entitled to £652 a month, plus a reduction in council tax. So £652 a month to pay my rent, my gas, my electricity, my food, my phone, etc, etc, etc. And when you are claiming, the Department for Work and Pensions expect you to have a smartphone so that you can do all sorts of stuff online and get your email notifications. So don't be giving me any of this where you shouldn't have an iPhone crap.
This is good. £650 a month, and I don't even know your circumstances. So if you're a single man, £650 a month, they would be helping you with your mortgage, and yes, they would be helping with your rent. You already said they're going to help you with your council tax, so I'm sure you haven't put that into the mix, have you? So if you had £650 for the month, I'm just curious how much that does pay off. And having a mobile phone, yes, it is handy when looking for a job, but you've got a PC indoors, so I'm sure that's fine as well, Mark. You are a man that makes excuses after excuses, and you blame everyone for those excuses. You don't want to take responsibility, and you don't think people should take responsibility. You see, the fact is, it shouldn't be government's problem that you are out of work. That's my point of view. You should be in work. And there are plenty of jobs out there at the moment. So if I needed to, I promise you, Mark, if I needed to, I would be cleaning the streets, I would be cleaning the offices, I would be working in McDonald's to make sure that I could bring in the money for my family. But that's because I've been taught of personal responsibility. It's just a shame that you seem to be around the same age as me, but don't think the same. Weird, very strange.
It's complete nonsense, right? So what happens when hundreds of thousands of people become unemployed in a short space of time, and then they're forced to survive on these unsustainable benefits, when previously they were probably the people that were propping up their poorer friends and relatives and neighbours that are on these unsustainable benefits? And you think it's not time for a general strike?
So to clarify, because the government are not spending my money and other tax people's money on other people, then people should go on strike. Are you not understanding how pathetic an argument that is, Mark? You are a child that's just spitting out their dummy for the sake of spitting out their dummy. I don't owe you a living, you don't owe me a living. That's full stop. Act like a man, for fuck's sake.
And when you think about it, a general strike is probably the most appropriate response to the past 8 years of austerity that we've had. All the Tories care about is money.
Mark, you seem to be under the illusion that the money that the Tories have got is actually their own. Do you actually believe that it's their money that they're spending? Are you not understanding where this money comes from? You know, when I get paid every month, I get a lump sum come out of my wages for national insurance to pay for certain things and for tax. This is where the money comes from. And it's up to government to make sure they control that money correctly so they don't spend too much and have a large debt and also a deficit. They need to control the outgoings and incomings. It's just like a company, our country. If you spend too much, then your debt becomes too much. And if you're unable to pay off the debt, that's not a good place to be. As you know, Mark, I'm pretty sure.
Austerity has been a big excuse to transfer wealth from the bottom and the middle into the hands of the ultra rich. And the way you can affect their wealth is through a general strike. All the shares, property and money that they hold in this country is not based on the strength of the economy when they acquired that, but it's based on the strength of the economy now. Every time you get bad economic news, the value of shares fall, the pound can fall, and even the value of property can fall.
Mark, you have this fallacy, this thing in your head that a general strike is going to really hurt the people up top. You know, the billionaires and everything else. You really think that's going to hurt them? You're mad, mate. You see, before things happen, these people tend to know what's going to happen. If you haven't realised that yet, then you're just a moron, mate. An absolute moron. They know the way that the markets are going to go. And if someone like Jeremy Corbyn comes into power, they know exactly how to play the game to make sure they still make money when everyone else loses their money. The people, the top people that you want to hurt with this so-called general strike is not going to hurt them. They can go anywhere in the world whenever they want. They have the private jets. They have the yachts. They have everything they could possibly have because they have the money. By you going on a general strike or asking people to go on a general strike, you're going to be hurting the people that you're saying that you want to go on a general strike for. How can you not fathom that? What sort of planet do you work on? Do you live on? How can you not understand that, Mark?
So if we have a general strike now, it will affect every part of their wealth that they have in this country. So if all they care about is money and business, let's show them that they have no money and they have no business and they have no wealth.
Yeah, Mark, fantastic idea, mate. Peace and love and all that shit. Let's tell all the wealth makers to fuck off, yeah? Because we don't need their money, yeah? Because it's our money, right? Because that's what it is, isn't it? Peace and love. They're the money generators, you dick. They're the ones that have got the jobs. They're the ones that start the businesses. Do you not understand? Without them, we are screwed. We are literally screwed. Unless you want to get off your arse, put your house on the line and start a business and start employing people, then you need to keep your mouth shut. Because everything you've come out with so far is total BS. You really think you're hurting the people up top? You're going to be hurting the people at the bottom that you are so much shouting about. People like you annoy the fuck out of me because you haven't got a clue the way that life works. And you're always a victim. This whole victimhood really pisses me.
If the poor people and the people in the middle decide to withdraw their labour. I know it sounds like an extreme circumstance, but quite frankly, what I see is extreme in this country at the moment. You hear about schools having to go half day on Friday. You're going to have another winter NHS crisis this year. You've got people sleeping rough on the streets. Quite frankly, this country, we've had enough.
You know what, Mark? I really truly hope that you watch this video, because I would love you to be able to reply to all the stuff, all the comments that I've made on here, because I just don't understand your way of thinking. You are a victim. You think everyone else is a victim, you think that the hierarchy, the people up top, are going to be hurt by us minions going on strike, and you don't think it's going to interfere with the people that you're trying to strike for. I know I've said this quite a few times in the video, but I still don't understand your way of thinking. You think you're hurting the people up top because that's the way your mind works. But believe it or not, the people up top are the ones that make the money, are the wealth makers. But remember this as well. The majority of businesses in our country are small businesses, started by people like me and you. People that started and put their houses online, put their cars on the line, so they start a business and they employ people. These are the people that you're going to hurt. The people that make the money, employ people like me and you. Now, if you want to do something for society and you think that you can make the money for society, then do it. Put your arse on the line, put your house on the line, put your car on the line. But stop being a fucking pussy